Have you ever noticed how some people expect you to break when they hurt you? They think you'll get angry, lash out, or beg for answers. It's almost like they need to see you struggle just to feel important. They want proof that they still have power over you. But what if you didn't give them what they wanted? What if, instead of reacting, you became a mystery? Someone they couldn't read, someone they couldn't forget. Imagine this. A chess player makes a bold move, expecting his opponent to panic and make a mistake. But instead of reacting, his opponent stays calm, studies the board, and plays the game on his own terms. That's what we're about to do. When someone tries to hurt you, they expect chaos. They expect emotions. But the moment you refuse to play their game, the power shifts. Suddenly, they're the ones feeling lost. Today, I'll show you how to break their expectations, not for revenge, but for something even greater. You'll reclaim your power, take control of the situation, and make them rethink everything. And we're going to do it the Stoic way, calm, composed, and unshakable. Because the truth is, nothing confuses someone more than silence where they expect noise, indifference where they expect pain, and growth where they hoped for your downfall. Let's get into it. 1. Rise above. Don't stoop to their level. When someone hurts you, the natural reaction is to strike back. You might want to make them jealous, show them what they lost, or act cold to make them regret their actions. But here's the truth. People don't regret hurting someone who reacts like a fool. They regret losing someone who rises above. Strength isn't about revenge. It's not about proving a point. It's about having the discipline to control your emotions, the self-respect to walk away with your dignity intact, and the wisdom to understand that your energy is too valuable to waste on someone who tried to break you. A truly powerful person doesn't waste time plotting payback. They don't chase, they don't explain, they don't perform. They simply move forward, stronger, wiser, and completely unshaken. That's what truly confuses those who expect you to fall apart. Think about a storm. The wind howls, the rain crashes, but the mountain doesn't move. That's you, solid, unbreakable. When they see you standing firm, living your life without a trace of bitterness, it eats them alive. The mistake most people make is handing over their power. The moment you try to prove something, whether by flaunting new relationships, acting distant, or seeking closure, you show them they still matter. And that's exactly what they want. They want to see if they still have control over your emotions. They want proof that you're still stuck on them. But imagine how their minds will spiral when they realize you've simply moved on. No drama, no emotional outbursts, just pure growth. You don't chase, you don't react, and you don't need their validation. That's when the regret creeps in. So how do you do this? How do you become someone they can't shake from their mind? You take every ounce of pain and turn it into power. You build a version of yourself so focused, so unstoppable, that their opinion of you becomes completely irrelevant. You hit the gym, not for revenge, but for discipline. A strong body sharpens a strong mind. You master your craft. Whether it's excelling at your career, starting a business, or perfecting a skill that makes you untouchable, you expand your world, meet new people, strengthen your confidence, and create a life so full that they no longer fit in it. And here's the twist. When they see you thriving, when they realize you didn't crumble, when they hear about the new upgraded version of you, the doubt sets in. They start to wonder, did they make a mistake? Were they wrong about you? That's the moment they feel the sting, not because you sought revenge, but because you became someone they never expected you to be. Unbothered. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That means you don't mirror their behavior. You don't sink to their level. You transcend it. When you move forward without resentment, without bitterness, you command respect. That's real power, not playing games, not seeking attention, but becoming so locked in on your own growth that they become an afterthought. The best revenge isn't making them regret hurting you. It's becoming someone they wish they never lost. 2. The power of calm. Confuse them without trying. Most people expect a reaction when they hurt you. They think you'll lash out, retreat into silence, or carry resentment like a heavy stone on your back. They assume they still have a grip on your emotions, that their actions left a wound deep enough to control you. But what if you did something they never saw coming? What if, instead of bitterness or coldness, you responded with something far more powerful? Calmness. Not fake politeness, not passive aggression, just pure, effortless composure. Not because you want them back, not because you're playing some mind game, but because you've reached a level where their actions no longer dictate your emotions. That right there is the rarest kind of strength. Picture this. You run into them unexpectedly. Maybe you lock eyes across a room. Maybe they hear your voice from a distance. They brace for awkwardness, maybe even hostility. But instead of tension, instead of a cold shoulder, they're met with something they never expected, an easy, unbothered presence. You acknowledge them with a simple nod, maybe a brief smile, then move on like they're just another person in the room. No force, no effort, just pure detachment. And that's when it hits them. The control they thought they had over you, gone. The emotional script they assumed you'd follow, shattered. They expected anger or sadness, maybe even a desperate attempt to prove something. Instead, they see a version of you that has moved beyond them, untouched, unaffected. And that's when the regret starts to creep in. But this isn't about forgiveness in the way most people think. It's not about pretending the past didn't happen or saying their actions were acceptable. This is something deeper. This is mastery. The kind of self-control that the Stoics from Marcus Aurelius to Seneca spoke of, where your peace is dictated by your principles, not by the actions of another. Think back to the last time someone hurt you. Your instincts probably told you to react. Maybe anger surged through you, or the urge to prove a point took over. But what happens when you do the opposite? When you choose calmness over chaos? When you refuse to play the game they assumed you would? It unsettles them. It forces them to question everything, because nothing confuses someone more than realizing they no longer have the power to disrupt your world. While they expected bitterness, you remain untouched. While they assumed you'd be stuck in the past, you've already stepped into a future without them. And here's the truth. When you don't react, when you don't give them the drama they were prepared for, it shifts something in them. They start to wonder, did they misjudge you? Did they underestimate your strength? Were they wrong about you all along? And that thought alone lingers far longer than any argument or revenge ever could. Seneca once wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay, because in that delay you find clarity. In that delay you take back control." When you refuse to let someone pull you into emotional chaos, you show them just how little power they actually had. This isn't about proving anything to them. It's about proving something to yourself. That no matter what they did, no matter what they expected, you refuse to be shaken. And that's the kind of power that speaks louder than words. Let them wonder, let them question, but never let them pull you back into a place you've already outgrown. 3. The power of absence. Make them feel the void. Nothing loses value faster than something that is always available. That's just human nature. The air you breathe. You don't think about it until it's gone. The sun in the sky. You take it for granted until it disappears behind storm clouds. The same applies to people. When someone is always there, always raying out, always present, they become background noise. But the moment they pull away, their absence becomes louder than any words ever could. Think about it. If someone texted you every day and then suddenly stopped, you'd notice. If someone who was always in your life disappeared without warning, you'd start to wonder what happened. That's exactly what happens when you remove yourself from someone's life. It's not about revenge. It's not about trying to make them feel what you feel. It's about understanding the simple truth. Scarcity creates value. When someone hurts you, your first instinct might be to chase answers, to demand closure, to seek validation. But real power doesn't come from proving anything to them. It comes from proving to yourself that you don't need to. Stoicism teaches that control over oneself is the ultimate strength. You can't control how they treated you, but you can control your response. And the moment you stop reacting, you shift the entire dynamic. Instead of getting caught up in emotions, you do the one thing they never expected. You go silent. No explanations, no desperate attempts to be understood, just distance. And in that silence, something happens. They start to notice. They start to wonder. Because while they expected a reaction, they got nothing. And nothing is more unsettling than that. This is where the real shift begins. The human mind is wired to crave what it can't have. When something is freely given, it's overlooked. But when it's taken away, curiosity takes over. They begin to ask the questions that haunt the mind. Why aren't they chasing me? Did they move on? Were they ever really attached to me in the first place? And here's the irony. The more they wonder, the more they feel the absence. The silence forces them to sit with their own thoughts, to question everything. And that questioning is far more powerful than any words you could have said. Because in that space, they start to feel the loss. Most people don't understand the power of walking away. They think distance means giving up. But in reality, distance is what creates desire. When you pull back, you become a mystery. And mystery always holds more weight than someone who's predictable. This isn't manipulation, it's self-respect. It's showing, not telling, that you refuse to tolerate mistreatment. A person who values themselves doesn't beg, doesn't explain, doesn't plead to be understood. They simply remove their presence. And when that presence is gone, when the constant attention vanishes, that's when the other person starts to realize what they took for granted. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And there is nothing braver than choosing silence over chaos, choosing control over reaction, choosing self-respect over seeking validation. Let them feel your absence. Let them sit in the silence. Let them wonder, because once they do, they'll finally understand what they lost. 4th, stand firm. Seek no approval. Most people have an insatiable hunger for validation. They yearn for reassurance and certainty, as if these were the lifeblood that sustains them. It's a natural instinct to crave confirmation of one's worth, to be told they matter. But imagine stripping away that constant need for approval. Imagine a world where you no longer chase after the opinions of others. When you stop feeding that need, something remarkable happens. You become an enigma, a mystery that defies our easy understanding. When someone causes you pain, whether through careless words, hurtful actions, or a betrayal of trust, they expect you to react. They anticipate anger, frustration, even desperation. They're accustomed to seeing you scramble for closure, to watch you desperately search for signs that their actions still hold sway over you. But what if, instead of reacting, you chose calm detachment? Instead of reaching out for validation, you simply let go. You become the very person who proves that your worth is defined by you alone, not by the fleeting affirmations of someone else. Consider the image of a candle in the wind. When the flame is constantly fed by a gentle breeze, it might flicker, but it never truly burns with a steady light. However, when that breeze dies down, the flame burns steadily, its light pure and undisturbed. That is the power of withholding validation, the power of certainty that comes from within, not from the constant affirmation of others. It might seem counterintuitive. How can you possibly remain unfazed when the very person who hurt you reaches out, perhaps expecting you to display vulnerability or even remorse? Picture this. They ask if you are angry or if everything is still all right. Instead of falling into the trap of emotional reaction, you simply offer a calm, steady smile. Your eyes, clear and composed, reflect an inner strength that speaks louder than any angry outburst ever could. There's no need to offer explanations or seek to reassure them. In that quiet moment, your silence shouts that you no longer depend on their opinions, that you are the master of your own emotional realm. The great Stoics believed that our suffering does not come from events themselves, but from our perceptions of those events. In this light, your emotions become entirely your responsibility. You decide what affects you, not the actions of another. Think of yourself as a mighty oak that stands resilient in a storm. The winds may howl, the rain may lash against your bark, but your roots run deep. You do not bend or break, regardless of how fierce the storm may be. Some might ask, but isn't it natural to want to know if everything is okay? Isn't reassurance a sign of care? Yes, it can be, but only when it comes from within. When you constantly rely on external validation, you give away the power to define your own reality. It's like allowing someone else to set the thermostat for your comfort. But when you take control, you decide what feels right, regardless of how others try to manipulate that temperature. They say curiosity killed the cat. But here's another truth. Curiosity also breeds desire. When you pull back and refuse to offer the certainty that someone once took for granted, you create a void that compels them to wonder. Questions start to echo in their mind. Why isn't there a reaction? Did I really matter? Was my presence as significant as I once assumed? In that space of uncertainty, the narrative shifts. They no longer hold the pen in the story of your life. Instead, you become the one writing your own destiny. Marcus Aurelius once wisely noted, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This strength lies in the courage to refuse to be defined by someone else's standards. When you stop seeking their validation, you not only regain your power, but you transform it into an aura of mystery that makes you all the more captivating. This isn't a ploy to manipulate someone into doubting their worth, nor is it a cold strategy to win back control over someone else's emotions. It is simply an act of self-respect. It is a recognition that true certainty comes from within, not from the fleeting words or actions of another. When you hold your ground and maintain your calm, you send a message that you are complete as you are. No one else's approval can add to your value. In fact, it might only diminish it. Imagine a river that flows uninterrupted, carving its path through mountains and valleys. It does not seek permission from the rocks it passes. It simply moves forward, unstoppable and serene. That is how you should be, a force of nature that doesn't wait for affirmation to define its course. Instead, you create your own narrative, one that is rich with purpose and unwavering self-assurance. In the end, the true measure of strength is not how loudly you react, but how quietly you hold yourself together. The moment you detach from the need for validation, you begin to live by your own truth. And that truth is simple. Your worth is inherent, unchanging, and independent of anyone else's opinion. Stand firm, trust in your own inner light, and let the silence of your calm speak volumes. Fifth step. Back. Stay in the game. Many believe that the best way to regain control after being hurt is to vanish completely, to ghost, block, and erase every trace of your existence. But here's the catch. Total disappearance can initially spark curiosity, yet eventually it fades away. Without any reminders of your presence, they may simply adapt and move on. The secret, then, is not to vanish entirely, but to retreat strategically, like a seasoned warrior stepping back to reassess the battlefield. Imagine a master chess player who, when outmaneuvered, doesn't quit the game, but makes a calculated move to protect their king and reposition for a winning endgame. In life, when someone causes you pain, the most powerful response isn't raw anger or absolute withdrawal. It's a measured absence that makes your presence felt even in your absence. This is not about punishment. It's about shifting the dynamic so that they begin to question every assumption they once held. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this instance, instead of resorting to bitterness or dramatic exits, you choose to recalibrate. You remove yourself from direct interaction while still letting them catch glimpses of your ongoing journey. This isn't about showing off. It's about demonstrating that life goes on and you're moving forward, stronger, sharper, and more focused. Consider a beautiful garden that once received constant attention and care. When every day is filled with the gardener's presence, the flowers might seem ordinary, their beauty taken for granted. But when the gardener steps back, the garden transforms into a mystery, a place where every bloom seems more vibrant, every petal more intriguing. That calculated distance turns the garden into an enigma, a secret that invites wonder. In the same way, by strategically stepping back, you allow your life to speak for itself. Your absence becomes a subtle yet persistent reminder of your strength and independence. They might wonder, why is this person no longer as available as before? Did something change? Am I no longer important? These are natural questions that arise when someone who was once a constant presence becomes elusive. And therein lies the power. By withdrawing direct contact, You force them into a space of reflection. They start to piece together the new narrative, one where you're no longer the background noise, but a compelling force that cannot be ignored. Imagine encountering someone on a busy street. If you're always there, every face in the crowd blurs together. But if you suddenly appear with an air of calm assurance, even for a brief moment, that image etches itself into memory. When you cross paths, be cordial but detached. A nod, a slight smile, and then you move on as if your presence was never a given. This measured engagement is like a fine-tuned instrument. It produces a melody of mystery and self-assurance that resonates far deeper than any desperate display ever could. One might ask, isn't it risky to hold back completely? What if they stop caring altogether? The answer lies in the balance between presence and absence. You don't disappear entirely. Instead, you become untouchable. You maintain a subtle connection by letting them see you exist. Flashes of your life appear here and there, whether through a casual encounter or a shared social space, yet you remove the ability for them to directly affect your emotions. It's not a game of manipulation. It's a quiet assertion of self-respect. Picture a river that carves its path through rugged terrain. It doesn't force its way by rushing at every obstacle. It flows steadily, sometimes slowing down to create eddies, and then surging forward with renewed vigor. By controlling the pace at which you engage, you allow your inner strength to shine. When they witness your resilience, how you remain unbothered even in fleeting moments of interaction, they begin to question their own assumptions. They start to wonder if they ever truly had any power over you in the first place. Epicurus taught that disturbances come not from the events themselves, but from our perceptions of them. When you choose to be selective with your presence, you're effectively choosing how events affect you. Instead of reacting with bitterness, you allow silence to speak on your behalf. That silence is potent. It holds an unspoken challenge that prompts them to reassess every interaction they once considered normal. This approach does more than just protect your emotional well-being. It elevates you. You are not punishing anyone by withholding contact, nor are you engaging in a tit-for-tat battle. Instead, you are demonstrating that you are beyond the need for constant affirmation. You are evolving independently, and that evolution is something they cannot simply erase from memory. The absence you create is a gentle yet firm reminder that while you might not be at the forefront of their thoughts every minute, your presence, when it does appear, is impactful and undeniable. By maintaining this strategic distance, you let the world see that your life continues to flourish, regardless of past hurts. You embody a calm resolve that says, without words, I am complete, even without your validation. And in that truth, you command a respect that no direct confrontation ever could. You become a figure of quiet power, one whose impact is felt not in the loud clamor of reactive emotions, but in the persistent echo of thoughtful absence. In the end, the art of disappearing without vanishing entirely is about reclaiming your narrative. It's about proving that your worth is not measured by how present you are in someone else's life, but by the strength and depth of your own journey. The strategic retreat is not surrender. It's a deliberate step to a future where you remain in the game on your own terms, leaving behind a legacy of calm resilience that speaks volumes, even in silence. 6. Level up and leave them guessing. Most people expect you to remain the same after a breaking, waiting around, hoping that time will somehow make them miss you. But in reality, those who linger long for a familiar version of you are clinging to a past that no longer exists. When someone causes you pain, the instinct is often to wallow in that hurt, to let it dictate your actions. Yet the true transformation comes when you channel that pain into change, evolving into someone so unexpected that they're forced to question every assumption they once held about you. Imagine a familiar melody suddenly played in a different key. The tune is recognizable, yet it carries an entirely new emotional weight that leaves listeners reeling with surprise. That's what happens when you decide to transform rather than remain stagnant. Instead of dwelling in sorrow, you reinvent yourself in a way that makes your presence irresistible and perplexing. It isn't about orchestrating a grand show for someone else's benefit. It's about reclaiming your power, embracing growth, and evolving naturally. There's a timeless truth in this approach. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the obstacles and hurts you experience are not reasons to remain the same. They are the catalysts for your metamorphosis. Rather than being defined by past affections or lingering attachments, you step into a new version of yourself that no longer fits the old narrative. You're no longer the person who spent endless hours in familiar routines or clung to habits that no longer serve you. Instead, you rise early to seize the day, investing your energy into new ventures, creative pursuits, and personal development that are as unexpected as they are inspiring. Think of it like a river that, after encountering a blockade, carves out a new path through the landscape. The water doesn't stop flowing, it adapts, finding new channels and creating fresh, vibrant ecosystems along the way. That's the essence of transformation, adapting and growing in spite of obstacles. It's not about proving something to someone else or seeking validation. It's about discovering that your value lies in your ability to change, to improve, and to move forward, unburdened by past expectations. Often those who hurt you expect a predictable response, a familiar reaction that confirms they still hold sway over your emotions. They believe that by maintaining the status quo, you are leaving a window open for them to re-enter your life. But when you evolve, when you alter the pattern they thought they knew so well, you create a new aura of intrigue. Instead of being a constant, unchanging presence, you become a mystery, a moving target that is both fascinating and frustrating to try to decipher. They might ask themselves, how can someone change so drastically? Was I ever truly important? Or did I simply know a version of them that no longer exists? This shift can be unsettling because it challenges their assumptions. No longer can they predict your reactions, and no longer do you fit into the box they once placed you in. Instead of clinging to what was, you embrace what is and what could be. Your new energy isn't about trying to win someone back. It's about affirming your own worth, independent of anyone else's influence. Envision a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. The process is natural yet remarkable, a complete change in form that redefines the creature's entire existence. That butterfly isn't chasing after the world that once confined it. It is soaring above it, captivating onlookers with its beauty and resilience. This metamorphosis is not born of spite or calculated revenge. It is the inevitable result of inner growth and self-discovery. The transformation itself becomes a silent declaration. You're no longer the person who was easily understood or taken for granted. In practical terms, this means altering daily habits and embracing new passions. Perhaps you invest time in a fitness routine, start learning a new skill like boxing or photography, or focus on building something meaningful, be it a career, a business, or a personal project. Your appearance, your energy, even your social interactions begin to change. This evolution isn't about crafting an image for someone else. It's about revealing layers of your true self that were once hidden by comfort and familiarity. A sharper style, a confident stride, and a demeanor that exudes quiet determination signal that you've moved on to a higher plane of existence. You might wonder, is it possible to change so completely without it feeling forced or inauthentic? The answer lies in the authenticity of your transformation. True change is organic. It is not performed for the benefit of someone else, but rather it emerges naturally from the realization that your past does not have to define your future. When you let go of the need for external validation, when you stop allowing past hurts to anchor you in a place of regret, you open up space for genuine growth and renewal. Your transformation becomes an act of self-liberation, one that is as empowering as it is enigmatic. In the end, evolving into someone unexpected isn't a game or a tactic to make someone reconsider their choices. It's an affirmation of your own journey. By continuously leveling up, you create an aura of intrigue that leaves them wondering who you truly are and what new heights you will reach. And while they might spend time trying to decipher the mystery of your change, the truth is that you are simply embracing a fuller, richer version of yourself, one that commands respect effortlessly and radiates a confidence that comes from knowing your own worth. 7. Call the shots. Win the game. In every relationship, there exists an emotional stage, a frame that sets the tone for all interactions. When we become deeply involved, we often let others dictate that stage, mirroring their warmth or withdrawing in panic when faced with coldness. Many find themselves caught in a cycle of reaction. If they receive kindness, they return it. If they're met with distance, they scramble to reclaim the lost connection. But imagine shifting that balance entirely, becoming the one who sets the tone, who calls the shots, regardless of the other's mood swings. Picture a seasoned captain steering a ship through tumultuous waters. While storms may rage and waves may crash, the captain maintains a steady course, guided by an unwavering inner compass. In the realm of human emotions, a person who masters this art of emotional detachment becomes that captain. Their inner peace remains unruffled by external chaos, allowing them to navigate any situation with clear, rational purpose. Think back to the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who taught, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This isn't about ignoring the actions of others or pretending that hurt doesn't exist. Instead, it's about acknowledging that while we can't control the behavior of those around us, we can choose our response. Instead of overreacting, over-explaining, pleading, or chasing approval, a person of true strength remains calm and composed. Their emotional frame is theirs to command, and in doing so, they seize control of the entire relationship. Consider the image of a masterful jazz musician. While the band might play with unpredictable rhythms and unexpected chords, the musician holds the power to shape the melody. When they allow others to lead, the tune becomes discordant. But when they take the lead, The music flows in perfect harmony. Similarly, when someone's emotions dictate your state of mind, the relationship becomes a series of unpredictable notes. But when you set the frame, when you decide to respond not with impulsive emotion, but with deliberate calm, you create a melody of strength that resonates far deeper than any reactive display ever could. You might wonder, how can one maintain such unshakable calm in the face of provocation? What if they try to ignite jealousy or toss out subtle digs to unsettle your equilibrium? The answer lies in the art of detachment, a discipline honed over time, much like the steady hand of a watchmaker calibrating intricate gears. It's not about becoming unfeeling or distant. It's about choosing not to let another's mood swing disturb your inner balance. When they throw a cold look or a sharp comment, you don't mirror that energy. Instead, you remain like a deep, still lake, unmoved on the surface but with profound depth beneath. Imagine watching a pot of water on the stove. If you stir it continuously, the water becomes agitated and loses its natural stillness. But when left undisturbed, even if it's hot beneath the surface, its calm exterior is unbroken. That's the difference between reacting impulsively and remaining in control. By not allowing their actions to dictate your state of mind, you maintain a rare and powerful clarity. In the past, when someone they cared about tried to provoke a reaction, be it through a gesture of affection or a deliberate attempt to instigate conflict, they might have instinctively responded in kind, but that predictable pattern only reinforces their power. When you start to withhold that immediate reaction, when you let your inner calm shine through, even in the face of provocation, you not only defy their expectations, but also flip the power dynamic. Suddenly they find themselves unsure of the impact of their actions. They ask themselves, why isn't there a reaction? What is it about them that makes you so unfathomable? This subtle shift creates an aura of mystery. It forces them to question the consistency of their influence. They may try to test you, reaching out with provocations, only to be met with a quiet, unwavering response. And with each test, the realization grows that they no longer hold sway over your emotions. In that space, you become a beacon of self-assurance, a figure who inspires respect simply by being in control of your own state of mind. A wise soul once remarked that when you no longer play by their rules, you create your own game. In this game, the rules are written by you, and every move is calculated with care. You don't allow fleeting emotions to cloud your judgment, and you don't expend precious energy on reactions that serve only to validate their control. Instead, you focus on what truly matters: your own growth, your inner peace, and the steady pursuit of your goals. The beauty of mastering your emotional frame is that it turns potential conflicts into opportunities for personal evolution. Rather than reacting with the same volatile emotions that once held you captive, you transform each interaction into a testament to your strength. With every calm, measured response, you silently declare that your energy is yours alone, a resource not to be squandered on petty disputes or unworthy provocations. In the end, controlling the frame means not taking full command of the relationship. It means stepping back from the chaos and reclaiming your inner power. The person who truly controls their emotions doesn't just survive the storms of life. They thrive amidst them. Their calm presence and unwavering resolve serve as a reminder that ultimately the game is won by those who master themselves first. 8. think long, win within. Many rush into the fray after being hurt, expecting an instant turnaround, a quick fix where regret and reconciliation arrive within days. They want immediate results, hoping that a brief period of absence will trigger a dramatic return. But true power lies in the art of patience. Instead of playing checkers with quick moves and desperate gambits, the real strategy is to play chess, thinking several moves ahead, embracing the long game while waging an inner war that transforms you from the inside out. Imagine the mind as a vast chessboard, where each move is deliberate and each sacrifice is calculated. The weak player flings pieces impulsively, desperate for an immediate win, while the strong player quietly strategizes, positioning every piece with precise decision. In life, when someone causes emotional pain by walking away, rejecting you, or treating you as an afterthought, the natural instinct might be to react with anger or to frantically seek reassurance. But that predictable reaction only confirms that your world is still spinning around them. Instead, when you choose not to react, you force time itself to work in your favor. As Marcus Aurelius once observed, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In this mindset, every setback becomes the fuel for a more significant leap forward. Rather than being trapped in the cycle of immediate emotional responses, you allow silence to create a gap, a space where absence makes itself known. They say that people only appreciate what they start to miss. If you never give them the opportunity to feel your absence, they will never come to understand the true value you bring into a relationship. It is common to feel the urge to explain, to seek closure, or to try to fix what has been broken. Yet these attempts often reveal that deep inside, the need for external validation remains. When you cling to that need, even in silence, the subtle signals of unresolved longing are unmistakable. On the other hand, when you shift your focus inward and concentrate on building yourself up, you become unshackled from the need for others' approval. It's as if you're gradually refining raw ore into a polished gem, a process that takes time, dedication, and unwavering commitment. Think of a seed planted in dark earth. It doesn't sprout overnight. Instead, it pushes through the soil slowly, gradually emerging as a resilient sapling and eventually maturing into a mighty tree. During this transformation, the tree is not concerned with immediate growth. It is more focused on developing deep roots, drawing strength from its inner reserves. In the same way, when you face emotional pain, you have a choice: to remain stagnant in that same broken space, or to use that pain as a catalyst for growth. By concentrating on your inner development, whether that means honing a skill, investing time in physical fitness, or nurturing your intellectual pursuits, you create a version of yourself that is both formidable and self-sufficient. This process is not a passive wait, but an active, deliberate reformation of who you are. It's a mental chess game where every moment of silence is a move that redefines your boundaries and your self-worth. The silence you cultivate is not empty. It is charged with the energy of self-improvement and the confidence that comes from knowing your own value. When you do this, you shift the dynamic entirely. You are no longer the person who waits anxiously for validation. You become the architect of your own destiny. There may be moments of internal doubt, questions like, am I just sitting here waiting, or am I truly evolving? The answer lies in recognizing that true evolution is quiet and steady. It isn't measured by frantic activity or by the rush of external events, but by the profound, often unseen changes taking place within. It is the paradox of self-improvement. The more you invest in yourself, the more magnetic you become, not only to those who once took you for granted, but to the world at large. This inner strength and refinement eventually render external validation unnecessary. In time, you reach a point where your own sense of worth is complete, independent of anyone else's recognition. It is this inner victory that makes you a person who does not chase closure or scramble for the remnants of past attachments. Instead, you let the natural course of time reveal the truth. When your presence is felt only as an echo in the background, your absence begins to speak volumes. People start to question what has changed and why you no longer conform to the same predictable patterns. They begin to wonder if you ever really needed their approval in the first place. In the end, the real flex is not improving your worth to someone else. It's in reaching a state where they must prove their worth to you. A person who wins the inner war is not defined by how quickly they can recover from hurt, but by how completely they transform that hurt into a foundation for growth. It is this profound self-mastery, this ability to thrive in silence, to let time and personal evolution do the talking, that ultimately defines true strength. So the next time you face rejection, neglect, or any form of emotional setback, remember that you're engaged in a long game. Embrace the process, play your moves with foresight, and let every moment of quiet introspection build a stronger, more resilient you. The journey might be slow, but every step taken in the pursuit of inner victory is a move toward an unshakable self, one that no external circumstance can ever control. You are the architect of your destiny, the captain of your ship, and the master of your emotions. By choosing to rise above, to remain calm, and to harness the power of your absence, you create a life that reflects your true worth and potential. As you navigate through this journey, remember that each challenge is an opportunity for growth, each setback a chance to redefine yourself. Embrace the silence, cherish the distance, and let your transformation unfold. In doing so, you not only reclaim your power, but also inspire others to recognize their own strength and value. Stand firm in your truth, trust in your journey, and let the world witness the incredible person you are becoming. Your worth is inherent, and as you continue to evolve, you will shine brighter than ever before.